Hi. Hi, guys. I hope all is well with you. And as usual, I want to come on here and share some knowledge with you as you build and grow your businesses. It's always my pleasure to come on and give you some nuggets of wisdom that you can ultimately implement in your businesses so that you can see it move from where it is to where you want it to be. So, as usual, if you can see me and hear me, let me know in the comments that you can hear me. I am on your Facebook, on your Instagram, and I'm also on YouTube today. So if you can see me and hear me, just let me know. Give me a thumbs up. Give me a hi, Adanna. Let's get into it, right? So, for those of you who are here for the very first time, I'm Adanna Austin. I am your business coach and consultant, and I work with high end entrepreneurs like yourself to get very clear on your goals, identify your ideal clients, and develop the strategies to grow your business. So, let me ask you a question before we get into this week's topic. How are you feeling? Like, really, 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 truly, honestly, how are you feeling? And I'm asking you this question because a lot of times when I'm taking on clients around this time of year, even though we may think it's very early in the year, a lot of them are telling me they already feel burnt out, right? So today we're going to talk about that business burnout and how you're going to scale without losing your sanity, right? First, we're going to talk about what that burnout feels like, and then we're going to talk about what scaling really is, and then we're going to talk about the things that you can do to scale your business without losing your sanity, right? And the reason I wanted to touch on this is because it's one of the more important ways how businesses kind of fall apart, right? Yes, we know the marketing is important and the pricing is important, but a lot of times what we see in the industry is that many people start to feel overwhelmed, overworked, and emotionally drained. And because they don't have the level of support, the tools, resources, they don't have a coach like myself, they tend to throw their hands in the air, right? And say, listen, I just cannot do this business anymore. So I'm here to tell you that there are ways or there are things and systems that you can put in place when you start to feel that level of overwhelm, overwork, or just emotionally drained. But you have to be very cognizant of when this is happening to you, right? Because one of the reasons we get overwhelmed or overworked is because we feel that we need to always be doing more, and we think that if we do more means better, and it's not always the case, right? It's more about figuring out how can I work smarter and not necessarily harder, because harder doesn't mean that I'm going to attract more clients or I am going to make more money. It more than likely is going to mean that I am going to be more tired. So that myth of more means better, we have to change our mindset where that is concerned, because it's not always the reality for a lot of people. The other thing is that burnout, when we're talking about being burnt out, it usually creeps in. It happens over time. It doesn't just happen one time. First, you start to feel like chronic exhaustion. You have decision fatigue. You're not as creative as you usually are. And sometimes some people even start to resent the business. They started off really loving their business, and at some point in time, they start to feel like, oh my gosh, what am I doing here? Why am I doing this thing? I don't like what I'm doing. I don't like my clients, even, because I've heard all of those variations of it, right? And that is a sure sign of burnout. And when that happens, what tends to happen to your business is that your revenue suffers, right? You start to see a decline in the money that you're bringing in, a decline in the type of clients that you're bringing in, right? You might not be attracting the best type of clients. If you have a team, your team morale may dip, and your decision making may feel sloppy, meaning that you're not making the right decisions because you just want to get over it, right? All of those are signs that you may be feeling a little burnt out. And I'm also here to tell you that you are not alone, because it's almost inevitable that at some point in time, as we start our businesses and grow our businesses, that is going to happen to us. It happens to everyone. It happens to the best of us, right? So I don't want you to feel like nobody else is understanding what I'm feeling. Nobody else is understanding how tired I am. Nobody else is understanding how many decisions I have to make on a daily basis and how frustrating it is. I am here to tell you that you are not alone, and I want to provide you with the support to ensure that you have the tools and resources in order to not feel burnt out, but continue your business and scale your business. So before we go into the tools, I want to also explain to you what scaling is. In the comments, let me know, do you understand the difference between scaling and growing? Because I know a lot of you read a lot of books and you listen to a lot of podcasts and these type of videos, and you always hear scaling and growing your business. And they are not to be used interchangeably because they mean two totally different things. And I want to just touch on that before I tell you what the tools and resources you need to scale without feeling burnt out. So when we're talking about scaling, and guys, leave any questions if you have any comments to me as we're going, right? So I can answer them. When we're talking about scaling a business means increasing the revenue and impact without increasing your efforts, right? Without increasing your efforts, without increasing your resources, without increasing your costs. It's about growing in a way that allows your business to serve more clients, expand your operations, generate higher profits without overwhelming yourself or your team. So the difference between scaling and growing, when you're thinking about I'm growing my business, right? Growth also means more revenue. But when you're thinking about growth means more resources are needed. Scaling means I'm using the exact resources that I have. Does that make sense? Growth means more revenue, but more resources are needed. So when you're thinking about growing your business, or when you're talking about growing your business, you're talking about that stage of your business where you are hiring more staff, where you're working longer hours, where you have to invest more in inventory to support your demand, right? That is what growing is. Scaling, on the other hand, is more revenue, but fewer additional resources. So scaling means you have set up these systems in place, you have set up your automation, you have delegated to your staff so your business can grow without the extra stress or the extra cost. Does that make sense, guys? So every business goes through both stages. Most times when you're now starting out, or your first 3 years or whatever, your focus will be on growing your business. And that's a natural progression of any business. You're growing, you're growing, you're growing, you're growing, you're adding new stuff, you're adding stuff. Usually when you're now starting off, you're going to be working 60, 80 hours a week, right? It sounds ridiculous, but yes, that is usually what happens, because when you're now starting, you may not have the systems in place, you may not have the inventory in place, you may not have the staff in place, right? So that is part of your growth trajectory. That is fine. At some point in time, you want to scale, and that looks quite different, right? You will know when you're ready to scale because you have consistent demand. That's the first sign that you know, okay, it's time for me to scale. I have consistent demand for my offers, my products, my services. I can increase my revenue without adding more hours to what I'm already doing every single week anyway. And I also have a repeatable process that others can follow. So, like a standard operating procedure document or something that I can produce. So, all of that is part of how you are going to scale. Making sense so far, guys? Tell me yes or no in the chat. Let me know if it's making sense. And there's a reason I'm telling you that there's a difference between growing and scaling, because at both stages you might feel burnout, but you have to recognize when that burnout is happening and then make a decision of how am I going to tackle this feeling that I'm feeling, right? What am I going to implement in my business so that I don't feel burnt out, I don't feel overwhelmed, and it does not happen again. That's the other thing, right? So it does not happen again. So let's talk about the things that you can do for sustainable scaling, right? So first thing, you want to leverage overlooked checkpoints. So you want to identify tasks, right, that consume too much of your energy, too much of your time. And I like to say those tasks which are not income generating tasks, right? Your income generating tasks are the tasks that should be taking up the majority of your time. The things that you do that are going to bring in money, bring in clients, bring in leads into your business. That is what is supposed to be taking up the majority of your time. Those tasks that are not leading specifically to income, if they're taking up more of your time, then you know that there's a problem. You know that there's a problem, and it's time to offload, it's time to automate, or it's time to delegate. And you would know what those tasks are in your business, right? It's going to be different for everybody, but you know what those tasks are in your business. The income generating tasks might be talking about your offers, doing a video about your offers, sending emails about your offers, following up with your past clients to upsell, sending out proposals to get more sales. It may look like nurturing your existing clients so that you carry them through your sales funnel. Those are income generating activities, right? You're having a talk where you are upselling, you're doing a webinar where you're going to upsell. Those are income generating activities, right? And those are the things you should be focused on a daily basis. If you are more focused on the other things which are not income generating, they may still be important, but they're not income generating, but they're taking up 80% of your time, then you are going to start to feel some level of burnout, right? Because you're doing all this work and you're not generating anything, you're not getting people in. I cover, right? So you want to start to delegate, you want to start to automate, you want to start to offload some of that burden, right? So if a system or a team isn't operating at like 70% efficiency, don't scale it as yet. You need to fix that efficiency. You need to fix those things. So you need to fix the back end part of your businesses as well, in order for you to scale. So if you have like an email list, if you're doing you have a website, you want to make sure that all the moving parts are connected. So if somebody visits your website and they're ready to buy, they're ready to order, it should be an easy process. They click on the link, they put in their information, they put in their credit card information, they get a follow-up email saying thank you, this is your receipt, and they get a time frame by which they're going to get their thing delivered to them or given to them. And when that is delivered, then they get another email saying, we hope you love it, give us any feedback, and then they have a follow-up email. You want to make sure that those parts of your business, and you don't have to do it, you can delegate that to somebody in your team to focus on. But that is when you know that is part of the scaling process. Yeah. When you can put those things together so that your business is running much more smoothly, it's being a lot more efficient, um, and so that you can scale to the capacity. Because a lot of times I've seen where people try to attract a whole bunch of clients, right? So they're out there, they're selling. They're trying to attract a whole bunch of clients, which is great, but then they can't fulfill the capacity of the clients that are coming to them, right? And that is important. You need to make sure that you can fulfill the capacity, because there's no sense of trying to get 100 clients to come to you, and in reality, you can only service 40 at any given time. So you need to make sure that you can fulfill the capacity. That is when you know you're ready to scale, right? And you can fulfill that capacity. A good example is by having digital products, right? So instead of everyone having to work with you one on one, they can buy one of your digital products. And a digital product could be a membership site. It could be a ebook. It could be a workbook. It could be pre-recorded videos. I have that going on right now with one of my groups, pre-recorded videos where they get training and they get access to certain things, right? So you want to be able to figure out, how can I create my business in such a way that I can fulfill capacity without me having to be there 100% of the time, because that is a recipe for overwork, overwhelm, and burnout. Does that make sense, guys? Tell me in the comments if that's making sense. Yeah. Another part of it, when you're experiencing that overwhelm and overwork, is to delegate. Start to delegate your system. Now, I hear you, Adanna. It's me and me alone, right? We tend to want to wear that as a badge of honor. But let me tell you something. Your business will grow a lot faster if you get support. And I'm not saying that you need to go and hire 10 people at one point in time, but figure out in your business, because it's going to be different for everybody. Figure out in your business where you need the most support. Some people need to hire a virtual assistant, some people need to hire a social media manager, some people need to hire a business coordinator, a project manager, whatever that is, right? You want to find that level of support in your business so that you can scale, so that everything is not in your lap. You are overseeing instead of trying to do everything, because that we all know that is a recipe, and that's why so many people remain as solopreneurs for so long. They don't see value in bringing on people, because the work that those people that you're bringing on to support you in your business is going to pay back 10%, 100% or 100%. It's going to pay back. That's how you will figure out. If I have a virtual assistant, that means instead of me sending one email a month, I'm able to send 6 email a month, which means I'll be able to attract more clients. By hiring a social media manager, instead of me showing up once a week, I'm able to show up 4 times a week with valuable information, which means my visibility is going to increase, which means I'm going to attract more leads, which means I'm going to get more money, right? I'm going to increase my revenue. So the people that you are going to hire so that you can delegate some of the tasks, right, which are taking up your time, which are not income generating, you have to see how there's a return of your investment that has to lead back to, this is going to help me increase my revenue. This is going to help me attract more of my ideal clients. So you want to figure out how to delegate. You want to figure out what to automate, because there are a lot of automation tools. Your social media can be automated, your emails can be automated, your videos can be automated, your digital products can be automated. There are so many automation tools out there, and you're not utilizing it to its full potential. Answering frequently asked questions in your DMs, that could be automated. Invoicing and receipts can also be automated, right? So you want to make sure that you have those systems in place, right? Less of your time, but more revenue and more and more leads. Yeah. Automate it. You want to figure out what to outsource, delegate, and what you need to personally oversee, because the goal is not to hand over everything to somebody else, but the goal is to understand, these are the things that I need to oversee, and these are the things that I need to delegate, right? So that you don't have to be on 24 hours a day, because you need to have balance in your life. Yeah, and balance looks like different things to different people. That's fine, but you need to find some type of balance. And one of the ways that, at least for us in my business, we have been able to do that is also by creating what we call our standard operating procedure document. With that document, which we update every 6 months or so, which with that document, I can bring somebody on my team and hand them my document and say, listen, this is how the business is run. It's like a training manual. So we talk about every aspect of the business, how we attract people, how people buy from us, how we deliver our services, what are the behind the scenes steps. We literally, it's like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 step. It's very specific, and it's very in depth, so that anybody who is coming on board our team we can show them this is what we expect because this is the level of work that we do in order to get the results that we want. Now, it doesn't have to be a fancy document, guys. It could be a Word document, right? And then you could convert it to a PDF. But my point is, every time that you are creating a system in your business, you want to have it documented. So it becomes part of your standard operating procedures. Now, you can also hire somebody to do this for you, right? But if you're now starting off, you literally write down, okay, for this business, we usually post on social media 4 times a week. We usually post on Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, and maybe Saturdays. We post at this time. We post on these particular pages. We post on these particular groups. We post one video, one long format, one engagement post, one poll question. Get as specific as possible. And guys, you have to also remember that this document can change, and it will change. As your business grows, as your business starts to scale, the document will also change, and that is okay. The point is that you have the working document. That's why it's a working document, because it's constantly changing. But start that off. If you're a hairdresser, what are the steps on when somebody is booking you to after? So if you're a hairdresser, we post on social media with the offer. Somebody will click on the link. Somebody will send us a DM or a WhatsApp. They will book their time the day before their appointment. We would usually reach out to them 24 hours before their appointment. The morning of their appointment, we reach out to them. At their appointment, we write down anything that they said that they wanted to work on for the hair. Then we would after their appointment, we send them a thank you email or a thank you text or DM, however you want to communicate with your audience. And then we do a follow-up with them in 6 weeks to remind them of their next service. Right? What is that procedure? That will help you also as a business owner to stay on track and to be able to measure how much has my business grown, how much has my business scaled, right, over a period of time, over a 12-month period or so. Right? Write it down. It might seem very, very obvious to you, but think about if you have to bring in your team member, then what is the information you want to share with them? So scaling, you want to delegate, you want to automate, and you want to create that standard operating procedure document so that you can share with anybody who's coming on board your team so that they can take that document and run with it. Does that make sense so far, guys? Making sense? Let me know if you're making sense. Let me know if you have any questions about it as well. Right? Because you want to manage your energy, you want to manage yourself. I always say when we talk about time management, I like to say you're managing yourself. You're not managing time, because time is infinite. You have 24 hours in a day. We don't magically get 26 hours. We have 24 hours in the day, right? So you have to figure out, how am I going to manage myself so that I am productive and I get the best out of myself and my team, and my business continues to grow at the rate and scale at the rate that I want. So I want to be able to prioritize high impact tasks that actually move the business forward. I want to work smarter, not necessarily harder. There will be periods of times and seasons in your business when, yes, you have to work a little harder, right? But it's not an ongoing thing. So I want to work a lot smarter by utilizing the tools and resources that are available to me so that I don't have to work more. And I also, guys, it's another thing, right? To eliminate that burnout and overwhelmed that we feel. I also want to create boundaries in my business, right? I know a lot of times when I talk to new business owners specifically, they have no boundaries. So they don't tell a customer no. They don't tell them like this, these are my opening hours and these are my closing hours. And I know the perception is that, I want to be there for my audience or my clients all the time. They can message me at 2 o'clock in the morning and I would respond to them. And yes, I understand why you feel that may be the best thing, but what you are setting yourself up for is burnout and overwhelm, because it's not a sustainable way to operate your business. Now, this is where your automation comes in. So if a client emails or WhatsApps you or DMs you, right, you can automate your answers so that they don't feel that you're ignoring them, and they still get their answers. They still get their answers to the questions, right? So that's part of the system that you can automate, because guys, there must be balance, right? So having those boundaries, having those non-negotiables. I've worked with coaches who tell me, Adanna, I do not respond to anybody after 6 o'clock in the afternoon, or I do not work on a weekend, and I don't work on a weekend, and I don't really respond after 7 as well. Creating those boundaries with your clients also help you to not feel burnt out, and it helps them to respect you more, right? And respect your business. If KFC say they close at 9 o'clock, would you be messaging KFC at 11 o'clock in the night? No, they close at 9. Right? They close at 9. The ministry closes at 4. Do you expect somebody to answer your call at 7 o'clock? No, right? You want to create those healthy boundaries in your business so that you don't feel overwhelmed. You have to get comfortable saying no to certain types of clients, certain types of projects, certain types of meetings to protect your long-term success. So that's another thing, right? So your delegation, your automation, your standard operating procedures, and creating those boundaries and non-negotiables. Let me know if you have any questions. Is this making sense? I want you to really reframe how you operate and how you do your business so that you get the best out of yourself, out of your team, and out of your business ultimately in the long run, right? Because a business that is running on you consistently being burnt out, overwhelmed, is not going to last very long. And what I would desire for each one of you, and I know that you desire for yourself, is a business that is consistently attracting your ideal clients, consistently attracting the revenue that you desire, the revenue that you deserve, and a business that you can leave a legacy, right? Whether it's for your family, your friends, your kids, whatever, but a business that is going to leave a legacy, a business that is going to make an impact in your community, in your island, in wherever you are. You want to create that type of business. And in order to do that, you need to understand, what you need to do so that you don't feel burnt out, you don't feel overwhelmed. If that may mean stepping away for a little while, a few months, a few weeks, just to make sure you have it's called like a strategic break, right? To make sure you have those back end things in place, so that you can address the immediate things that are making you feel burnt out or making you feel that you can't deliver, then that is what I would suggest you do. So you want to redefine what success looks like for you. Redefine, that hustle culture, because nobody's interested in hustling. We are interested in being impactful, right? You want to be impactful in your business, and you want to shift your mindset around it, because it starts with your mindset, guys. I mean, we have the tools, we have the resources. We know we need to automate. We know we need to delegate. We know we need to say no. We know we need standard operating procedures. But first and foremost, it starts with a shift in your mindset and how you think about work, and removing that anxiety that you have created around the business that you are trying to grow, right? You have to shift your mindset and realize that you are in charge a lot more than you give yourself credit for. You are in charge of what your business looks like, what it feels like, and how it operates. Your clients are not in charge of that. You are in charge of that. So you can dictate how it functions, what it feels like, the experience that they have when they hire you or they buy from you. And it doesn't have to look like everybody else. You can disrupt the system. That is fine. You are in charge. This is your business. You can disrupt the system, disrupt how business is done, to make sure it is in accordance and in alignment with what you desire for yourself. And just make sure it's communicated in a good way, right? Communicated in a respectful way, where people know your boundaries, people know your non-negotiables. And when I say people, I mean your ideal clients or even your providers know what that looks like for you. And yeah, your business will grow, your business will be more sustainable, and you will get exactly what you want. So it's a shift in your mindset first, and then you get into action to get the things done. Yeah. So that is our training today, guys. As usual, leave your questions in the comments, jump into my DMs. If this is something that you're struggling with and you really feel that you need some support in creating those systems, those back end systems in your business, hiring somebody to support you so that you can delegate some of the tasks, some of which my team also does for you. So, like, we create content for our clients, we implement some of their marketing strategies. So, we do some of that for our clients as well as the coaching that I do. We have digital products that will help you with some of it as well. So if this is something that you really are ready to implement in your business and to make that shift in your business, you know what to do. Jump into my DMs, leave a comment underneath this video, and let's get to it, guys, because it is very, very possible for you to get this and more in your business. Yeah. So have a wonderful day, and we will talk soon. Bye.